So we all come into the world, this beautiful little bundle of joy, this lovely little person, and immediately we're thrust into relationship, whether we want to be or not, right? Our survival depends upon it. And through life, we have different relationships, some great, some not so great. And we can have a lot of conflict because we are in relationship all of the time. So I'm here today to tell you that you can have happy, healthy, and fulfilling relationships. So be honest, when I say relationship, what comes to mind first? The happy and healthy one, or the one that's more of a challenge? You know, it could be home, family, friends, romantic. For most people, it tends to be the ones that have been challenging. And sometimes we just want to pull the covers over our heads, forget about people, and hang out with our pets or the animals, which give us that unconditional love. Now, I wasn't raised to be successful. I came from a home where my dad was alcoholic, rageaholic, sexual abuser. My mom, she was mentally ill, and she attempted suicide on multiple occasions. Despite that, I was the first in our family to finish high school, go on to university, work in a corporate setting, be well respected, all the while wearing this mask because I felt shy, and I really didn't feel like I could be myself and show that to the world. So I know if I can get through to the other side, that you can too. There's a part of us that definitely wants to grow and be more of who we are. We only have to allow ourselves to listen to that internal part of ourselves in order to move forward into that place that we want to be. So why have healthy relationships? Why spend your time even thinking about it? It helps us to grow, it helps to nurture us, and it helps us to be more of who we are. It reduces stress, and it actually contributes to our overall health. One study showed that your survival rate increases by 50% if you have healthy relationships. On the other hand, if you don't have healthy relationships, that can result in depression and actually lower our immune system, which means that you can actually get physically ill. So we all know people who have given up on relationships. So they start to isolate, they don't go out anymore, and they just say, oh, it doesn't matter. I'd rather just sit home, watch TV. The truth is, they're actually lying to you and to themselves. We all need relationship. We're actually human, and that's what we need. We wouldn't be brought into this world into relationship if we didn't need them. So we're either living our lives or we're dying our lives. And my wake-up call came at the age of 44 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had a choice: continue on the road I was on or choose differently. And I realized I'd been putting everyone else first in my life. I wasn't there. I wasn't doing self first. I'd stuffed down my emotions. I wasn't expressing who I was. And I got sick. So now that's my mission, is to help others not to get to that point of crisis, that we can choose differently before we get to that point. We need a new language. We need new skills. We simply haven't been taught this. Think about your family. Studies show that in times of stress, we revert back to what we learned in our family. It doesn't matter how much work we've done, that's still what our brain does. It's a safety mechanism. So we really have to get to the root of what these things are. So I was raised to be seen and not heard. That's pretty common in my age demographic. And I carried on the family pattern. It's what I was accustomed to. So I married the person that looked great on the outside, tall, athletic, wasn't a drinker or a smoker, so looked great. But inside was that rage, and that's what I was accustomed to in my family. So we had an electromagnetic connection. We had that energy connection where it felt comfortable for me. And as time went on, things got worse. And at one point, it got so bad, I secretly wished that he would die. That's how bad it got. Now, that didn't happen, and I started to do some work on myself. I started to look at the sexual abuse and how that pattern had brought forward these different relationships in my life. So we had another blow-up, as would happen about every 6 to 8 months. And I finally said, enough is enough. And I left and really started that healing journey. So after all the academic work, psychology, counseling, conflict resolution, that was all great, and that was part of the learning. The next part was to really step forward in my courage to go deep into the feelings. And it felt really scary. It felt like I would never get through to the other side. The good news is I did. I wouldn't be here talking to you today if that wasn't the case. And then the next part, what was missing? I had to step forward into my spirit and really reconnect with my spirit. And that was the piece, the last piece to bring it all together. And I thank the Training Empower community. I've been involved with them for close to 20 years now, and I continue my spiritual growth, and I continue to teach adults and children this system because I see what a transformation it is for people. So we need to take care of ourselves in all ways, not just physically, we also have energy bodies around ourselves. So we take care of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Once all of those areas are in coherence and in balance, then we can actually have our full selves and be able to step forward into the relationships that we want. So I'm going to talk today about 3 myths about relationships that make you feel alone and unhappy. So I'll go from 3 to 1. Number 3 is there's only one soulmate for me. So I'm on the bus, I'm going this way, my soulmate's in a car driving this way. We never meet. That's it. No soulmate for me. That's what Hollywood would have you believe. So would it surprise you to know that you can have a soulmate from any area of your life, whether it's family, friend, romantic, work? So I was a foster kid for a while, and my other mom, as I called her, she was amazing. We were really connected, and she died 3 weeks short of her 100th birthday a couple of years ago. And she died on my birthday, which is October 2nd, at 2:10 her time, which is my birthday reversed. And I just could feel that vibration from that when I got the call. And I thought, that's really interesting. I've never done our chart together. And so I did our karmic numerology that I'd learned, and I saw that we had 2 of the 4 connections. And they were the strongest connections that you can have, which is on the physical and the emotional. So I really honor her and hold her in my heart forever, because she took a chance on this teenager who was confused and really felt out of place, and she just welcomed me in and just really trusted me to be who I was without judgment. So what can you do to bring in the soulmate that you want? First of all, get clear about what is the soulmate that you want. Is it work, friend, family, romantic? Then create a list. Be very specific about what you do want. And speak everything in the positive. For example, I wouldn't say, I want a non-smoker and a non-drinker. Instead, I would say, I want someone who has a healthy relationship, healthy lifestyle, someone who's compatible with mine. And make sure that you put down everything that you do want. I have friends who have done this exercise and they left off that one thing that they really wanted. They didn't feel they had enough value to ask for everything that they wanted. And I find that very sad because we do have to be clear on what we do want. Not that they didn't love the person that they brought in and they wouldn't give them up, but they said, oh, if we added that one thing, that would have been perfect. That would have been everything. So once we make those decisions and we fine-tune that list, what do we need to do? We need to allow and really let it in. So anyone else a recovering controller like me? Yeah, so we want to see it a certain way, or it has to be in a certain time frame, or, we have all these shoulds and all this stuff. I met Michael Lozier, who wrote The Law of Attraction, and he said the biggest piece that people forget is the actual allowing. So we need to be specific and then let it go and trust. The universe will bring us what we want. So I'll be interested to hear your stories about what you bring in. Number 2, I'm too old, I'm too set in my ways, no one's going to love me and my weird habits. And we fall back into that victim mode. And we say it doesn't matter. And we just kind of hang out. Well, the truth is that you can no longer use your age as an excuse. Science has shown us that we have neuroplasticity, that our brain can change, and we can make things work differently for us if we choose. It's all a matter of choice. So think about if you're driving in the snow, and you're driving and there's ruts in the road from people who drove before you. You tend to drive in that same rut because it's simply easier. That's how our neural pathways in our brain are. We continue to run those same patterns and thoughts again and again. And we need to have the awareness to actually do something different. We're inside the picture frame looking out, and we have these blind spots that we can't see. It's really hard to see for ourselves. So this is what I love to help people with, is to see that new perspective or see the third or fourth option. Even ask your friends, what are some of the phrases that I say all the time? You'll be surprised at some of the things that you repeat that you don't even realize. So what you can do today is simply mix up your routines and habits that you do. Do you drive somewhere a certain way every time? Mix it up. Turn off the GPS. Actually have to have your brain think about what you're doing. When I go for my walk in the morning, I often go a different direction or cut across a park or do something different to really wake up my brain. If you have your coffee and newspaper or iPad in the morning, maybe go for the walk first. I actually recently changed my bed around in my bedroom. It's been the same way for close to 30 years since I've been in my apartment, and I turned it this way. So I actually feel that difference when I get out of bed and my brain has to think differently. And I love that spark in my brain. I can feel that difference. And number 1, I have to compromise who I am. I can't be myself. So how many people feel they've compromised who they are in a past relationship? Family, friend, romantic, work. I had a friend, and her idea of friendship was that I agreed with everything that she said. Well, that's not much of a friendship if I can't actually have an opinion. So I had to walk away. And sometimes we do have to say no. The thing is, we might have to compromise on things like routines, habits, this kind of thing, but we never compromise who we are. It is actually our strength. So we are each unique, and we need to celebrate that. Think about when you're not honest in a relationship. Usually what happens is resentment builds, and then we tend to sabotage the relationship anyway. It falls apart. Or what I learned in my family, walking around on eggshells. You know, you couldn't say anything, and you were afraid to say anything. And then you end up feeling like you're unseen, unheard, unloved. And we need to learn correct response ability. What is my ability to respond? And what is yours? Not to leak my energy to you or to make assumptions about what you want or need. It is about learning what I need and being okay with that. Not making excuses or saying, I'm sorry, this is what I want, this is what I need. Actually owning that. So we actually step into our full selves in power, and that is where we are in power in relationships. When we are who we are with no excuses, and the other person can be themselves. So we need to think outside of the box. We do need to look at the past, because when we go to step forward into relationship, all those old things from the past come forward and they want to slow us down or stop us. So we do have to look at those patterns, do some processes around release and forgiveness, and then move forward into what we do want. So that's why I created a Life of Choice coaching, to help you with your uniqueness and get to the core essence of who you are. And it's only then can you have that ability to really be in relationships that you love with others and with yourself. So one of the things many people need is to learn about boundaries. We didn't learn them in our family. Usually they were totally broken. And I use Brené Brown's definition, which is simply what's okay with me and what's not okay with me. It's a simple definition, but it gives that signpost to see is my boundary being crossed or not. And when I work with clients, then they find that they're not tired at the end of the day anymore, they have better relationships, and they actually have time for a social life. So I had another client, and he was concerned about doing the deep work. He'd had a bad experience in the past. And I really want people to know that you can do these processes and the different type of work to go deep without it being too scary, that we do have to look at things, but we can do it in a safe and gentle way. And so he said it was deep work, very enlightening, and really allowed me to see a better part of myself. I'm learning to listen to myself more, my body, feelings, emotional state. I've learned a lot about communicating what I'm feeling and experiencing, which has helped a lot in my personal relationship with myself and other people. Anyone would benefit. It really helped me, and I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders. It boosted my creativity, my patience, and love for self and for life. I had another client who started with the Training and Power class to help her because she felt very sensitive around people, and it helped her with the energetic boundaries along with other things, including bringing more calm and joy into her life. And we continued to do some coaching, and she said, I was stuck in my head and needed to get more in touch with my feelings. It helped me to refocus and reshift where my attention is required for ongoing personal development and healing. I learned to integrate mind and body and got to the core of how my personality really connects and creates good connections and attachments to other people, whether in life relationships or business ventures. So I wouldn't have the life I love without these tools and systems, and I'm really excited to help others with their growth and their learning about themselves and their relationships. So thank you, and thank you for your attention tonight and for being here.